Hi everybody, this is Michael Collins, your instructor for UAD 301. I'm going to be guiding you through this course over the next 8 weeks, so I just want to make sure that you guys understand what's expected so that there will be the minimum amount of confusion while we're together during this class. If I'm going to break this thing down about what the key components are, there's something that you should know first is that look through the syllabus thoroughly. Make a copy of it and watch this video more than once, because the more you watch, the more you'll understand what's expected of you. But of the things that will be expected of you, there are, I would say, 4 key components, and that is the general assignments, which don't count for a whole lot of points. But they're skill building, so they're useful in that respect. And not only that, but that you'll use them for your larger projects, which leads me into the next part, the case studies. Now, the skill building projects you won't use for case studies, but the case studies are a part of the prescribed curriculum for 301. We're required to do it, and so you'll learn how to do that, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The third part will be the presentations. You'll have an individual and a group presentation. You'll have a warm-up one too for case 4, but that won't count for much. Again, it'll be a skill building exercise. But the overall presentations will count for about slightly less than, well, it'll count for about 30% of your grade. So 100 points for individual one and 200 points for the group one. And finally, you'll have the final exam, which is a quarter of your grade, which in my view is a lot, but that's decided at the 3rd floor of the Mahalo building, not by me. So unfortunately, the final exam will count for a very large chunk of your grade. So anyway, let's get started. I'll go through all this one at a time. This is the general area where I'll post assignments, announcements, things like that. The first week, you can post your personal bio there. I did. Tell us a little bit more about you. You don't have to if you don't want to. It's strictly voluntary. But the thing is, it just greases the wheels of the online experience. So if you do that, then we get to know a little bit more about you, and it becomes a little more personal. This part right here, if you have a question that you think by asking it will help everybody in the class, then post it there, and then I'll respond there as well, and everybody can read the response. This is a little information about me. This is the course syllabus. This is going to get replaced as soon as I finish with this video. It's going to read Spring 17 syllabus. Right there, if I click on that, it'll be the syllabus for the last semester. This will be the textbook and resources. So let me click on that real quick. This part is very important, so pay attention. General Management Communication book, we'll use that some, but the ones you'll use way more are the Business Writer's Handbook, because that will be all about format. Now, 11th edition did come out, so if you get that, fine. If you get the 10th edition, that's fine too. Don't sweat it. The big idea is to be able to find your way to memos and letters and proposals and things like that. Make sure you're able to format documents correctly. Now, this is your case book. You can't get this book in the library. I'm not at the library, at the bookstore or anything like this. It has an online bookstore. So click on this. All right, see? Go straight to me. My name right there. You'll click on that, add to the cart, and then it'll be a downloadable PDF. Okay? So There is no real book to this. It's just a downloadable PDF with 5 cases. Okay, can't tell you how many times I get this question. I can't find the book. Well, the reason is because it's a downloadable PDF. It's not, even though it has an ISBN and all that, it's still more or less a collection of PDFs with cases to them. Okay. Proctor U test information. You'll go here, read the handout about how Proctor U works. This is how you'll schedule your final examination, which will be February 25th, Saturday, February 25th, 2017. Okay? And then click on that, and it'll tell you how to schedule the proctored exam. Don't do that right now because I haven't set it up yet. But, about the week 4 or 5, we'll bring it up again. Okay? All right. You see I have group forums. We're going to form those next week, so don't get too wrapped up about that right now. If you have issues with tech support or something like that, you click on that. It'll take you straight there. All right? Okay, so week 1, January 3rd to the 8th. It's a short week. Make sure you do everything that's asked of you. Let's see. Usually we have an overview and roadmap, tells you about the things that we're going to do this week. So for example, this week we're going to read the syllabus, post a message that you've read and understood, the syllabus review and the discussion forum, introduce yourself via the personal bio section. Again, voluntary. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. Click on the YouTube links and watch all the videos regarding the syllabus, the goals, the audience and purpose, and so forth. Complete the week 1 assignment and complete your diagnostic writing exam. We do those to check your skill sets coming in and exiting, and they are required. It's not, that part's not voluntary. Okay, so that will affect your participation grade if I don't get it. So make sure that you do. Get your books. Again, I talked to you about the downloadable casebook, and the others, there are about millions of them out there. So if you can find them on Amazon and get them to you cheap, I found that if you use an Amazon supplier, usually you can get to you in a couple of days. So just word to the wise. Okay. Again, more stuff in week 2. We'll talk about that later. That'll be about learning how to do the cases. Let me just, since we're on the topic, let me speak to you about that now. The type of writing that you've been doing in the past, most of your English assignments and things of that nature are all with the aim toward writing more. The aim of this course is 180 degrees from that. And what I mean by that is write less. Short and punchy is the mantra that you should be chanting every time you write a case. We strictly observe the 1.5 page limit. So you should be able to say everything that you need to say in 1.5 pages. And we have a very strict format as well. So we'll talk more about that later. You'll see here that I have videos about how to do a case analysis, a really good PowerPoint, how to do case shreds. We'll talk about that next week. But anyway, the point is that you're going to spend a lot of time doing this. Even your final exam will be in the format of a case. So make sure you learn how to do this very well, okay? And week 3, again, we'll have another case. You can read the overview and roadmaps. Week 4, another case, visual assignments. What that'll be mostly about is I want you to produce visuals like flow charts, tables, pie charts, text box, things like that that are very common in reports and business reports. Most of you know how to do this already, but it's a refresher, and I want to make sure that you understand that you need to put these visuals into your individual and your group project reports, okay? So even though these are pretty easy assignments, the point I'm trying to get across to you is this, is that the most commonly used visual aids that we will be doing here should show up somewhere in your individual and your group project, okay? Okay. Let's see. This will be case 4, and it'll be in 2 parts. This will be the first time you and your groups actually produce a presentation together, and it will require video and audio. So, word to the wise, it won't count for very much because again, it'll be much more difficult coordinating the first time rather than actually producing the document. So we'll cover more about that later. Week 6 is pretty easy, and the reason for that is because I want you to start preparing for week 7, which will be your individual presentation, and that'll be a Shark Tank type of presentation where you ask ask your audience for some financing for a startup project that you want to do. It could be a restaurant, it could be a tour company, it could be an app you want to produce, it could be a real estate office you want to open, it could be anything. What I would recommend is that if this is something that you want to do in the future and you feel like that you would like to produce a something that they could use further down the line, by all means, do it. Because that's what we're here for, to build skills so that they can be used in the future for your success. And finally, on week 8, we'll have the group project. We'll form up in groups of 3, and you're going to produce an analytic report. I have examples here. Where is it? Yeah, right there. I also have an example of a good startup proposal right here. And I also have one, where is it? Okay, here. This is a segment of a group presentation. Those are pretty much the same format. You'll see as you open them up. And then finally, we have the final exam here. So it'll be a very busy week, which is why week 6 is not so busy, because week 7 and week 8 are very busy. Almost all your points happen right around here. This one counts for 100 points, your individual presentation, and the group project counts for 200, and the final exam for 250. So what, 300, 550 points. 550, which is more than half of the overall points, are earned in week 7 and week 8. So if you start doing poorly at the beginning of the semester, don't worry. You have plenty of opportunities to get it right toward the end. Okay, so let's go to the syllabus. Open this up. Okay, here we are. Syllabus for spring semester. We start very early, January 3rd, and go to February 26th. But the good part is we finish early. So we're very happy about that. I haven't submitted my office hours to my administrators yet, but I'm pretty sure this is what it's going to be. 2 to 4 every Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And of course, if you need to reach me, this is my personal cell. It's a dedicated cell phone specifically for students. So don't worry about calling me on that number, because nobody gets, when anybody calls me, I know it's a student, because that cell phone is just for students, okay? This is my office phone. I'm not there that often, but I carry this one with me pretty much wherever I go. Usually check it once a day. Same with the email. So if you rather try to get a hold of me via email first, that's fine. And if we need to talk by phone, please, by all means, call me on that line. All right? Okay, I'm not going to read the course description or any of that because you can, as I said, I've already done that more or less. Excuse me. And I've spoke about communication, how to reach me, that sort of thing. Spoke about the textbooks. Again, click on that link. It'll take you to the Cal State storefront. You buy that book online. It's the only way you can get it. You should have basic computer skills. One of the things that I run to a lot is when people say, I've never done this before as far as computer skills or things like that. I provide you with tutorials on how to do it, but the goal is to advance, not to stay the same. So the notion that you've never done something before or you don't have the skill sets necessary to produce a project just doesn't wash, you know. There are places to go to get that information. IT over at the Pollock Library will help you out. Again, I provide tutorials to assist, and you could probably find somebody you know who can help you, but it's usually the case with embedding video in the PowerPoints for the presentations. So again, you'll figure it out. Everybody does. So make sure you get a head start if you're not the best with computer skills, that sort of thing. All right. Course format, again, all online, asynchronous. You can meet with your groups however you decide. Usually worked out pretty well so far. One thing I will say about groups, you do have to provide some proof that you provided some assistance or input in a substantive manner. So when we get around to group work, you'll have a group forum, and you should, at a minimum, be posting some observations or input or things like that, so that I have some proof that you did show up and you did assist your group members. Okay, ethics. Everybody understands what ethics are with respect to academics, so forth. And if you don't, go over this again. I've spoken to you about the assessment activities. Again, part of that is the initial writing assessment that I'm going to have you do, and the final exam is the the post-course assessment. Again, the reason for that is so we know how you're doing when you come in and how you're doing when you leave. And those are not optional activities. You should register with Halo Hire. It's really great anyway. They're there to help you find work, provide you with career advice, and so forth. So make sure you get connected with them. Okay, click on that if you want to know about emergency procedures. Since we're an online course, it shouldn't affect us that much. Here are the grading standards. These follow the Halo standards. In this college, you have to have a C or better for passing, which is 73% or better. Okay? Okay. I talked about these already. Skill building exercises don't count for much. Cases will count for 30%. Your individual analytic report will 10%. Your group proposal, that's just 50 points if you adequately and satisfactorily participate in your group project. Your group project is 15% of your grade. You get some uh, participation points, which is about 10%, and then your final exam. So altogether, it's 1,000 points. And I've already spoken about the final exam through ProctorU. It's a timed event, so make sure you know about that. It's about 2 hours long, and don't wait in the last minute to do it. I have had people in the past who have telephoned me at 11 o'clock at night saying they're trying to get in. ProctorU won't take any new um, test proctoring. I think maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'm not sure, but they're pretty strict. So make sure that you are in line with the standards that they set. And there is no extra credit. All right, so put that up front. All right. You don't really need to know much about this. These are the standards that we are required to post and the things that you're required to learn according to our AACSB. That's our accrediting body. The accrediting body is incredibly important in that the degree from the university would be almost worthless if it weren't accredited by the AACSB. So they say we have to put these things here, so we do. But you can see some of the key things that we'll do is we'll talk about technology, organization, case analysis, crisis communications, and so on and so forth. I think I'm going to try to put together a short video of library use, how to use it, especially business research. And maybe by that time, Robert Sage, that's a name you really should remember, we'll have put one together. It's better coming from him, but I can do some of it. At least get you to the essential parts where it will help you with your individual or your group proposals. And if you have technical difficulties, contact IT. I can't help you. I may actually make things worse by giving you advice. So make sure that if that happens, you contact them. And if you have special accommodations, I have to hear from the Office of Disabled Students. You can't tell me and expect that to be adequate. It's not. I absolutely must have notification from the Office of Disabled Students. I'm more than glad to provide some assistance. That's not the issue. The point is that they are the official overseer of that. So you need help with that, make sure you go through them. Netiquette, online behavior, just if I could boil this down, act like adults. Your work has to be on time. You have to be proactive. You have to do your group work, and you have to do it well. Okay. Here we are, week 1, the introduction, the syllabus, the diagnostic writing exam. One small assignment. It's the ideas, audience analysis refresher to help you get your minds right about who you're writing for. Business communications is all about writing toward a specific audience. It's never just general information. It's the information, the medium, and the audience are all the key elements when it comes to this kind of writing. So just something to keep in mind. Let's see. We're going to have our first case next week, but it won't count for much. You see, it's only 10 points. And that'll be from the Millennium Media. You'll see that in your case book when you download it. I'm going to, again, like I said, try to come up with a library familiarization video. Week 3, formal internal proposal. What that will be is you'll need to have decided what it is you wish to do for your individual project. So if you've always wanted to open a pizza restaurant, you'll send me a memo telling me that your idea for a pizza restaurant is the great concept and that you request approval for me to move forward. And almost certainly I'll say yes, and we'll go from there. Case 2, we'll be talking about that. Collision course, again, downloadable from your PDF. Week 4, visual enhancements. In your third case, social media. Week 5, we'll do a negative performance appraisal. Very important. All of you are going to be managers and leaders at one point or another. Some of you may already be. One of the most difficult things to do is do a performance evaluations because it's so impactful to that person. But it also could affect your career and the well-being of your business if you don't do it properly. This isn't a type of thing where bosses are authoritarian and they can dominate and bully their employees. This has to be done properly. So really important set of concepts to get right. And then we'll do case 4. It'll be in 2 parts. You'll see here. 100 points just for the case, and then 20 points for the participation. You guys will produce a PowerPoint video with all members of the team doing some part of the production and narration. More on that later. And then week 6, again, we're going to be producing some technology information materials, basically a Facebook page and a brochure with some decent design. And then we move into the final part. And again, I told you, week 7 and 8 are very point intensive weeks. This accounts for 100. You'll do your Shark Tank presentation. Basically, it's if you don't know what Shark Tank is, go on YouTube or CNBC and look up old episodes of Shark Tank. People are pitching an idea, concept, a business, a service to acquire money to expand or start up. And you're going to follow that format. I've laid out a very specific format for you in week 7, so that will be helpful. But the Shark Tank just to give you a general idea of what you're supposed to do. And then finally, the team presentations and proposals. I talked about that already. 3 per team. You're going to either do a startup like you did individually, or you can do a problem-solving proposal such as why doesn't Kmart appeal to millennials, and what can we do to make it more make the store brand more competitive and appealing to millennials so that they can survive financially. Something like that. It's your choice. But again, there are some guides to assist you with that. And finally, the final exam. Again, 250 points. So that's about it. I know you guys will have questions. And this is like a snake swallowing a pig. Don't expect to understand all of this at once. It's just a broad overview. But the idea is that, let me just emphasize once again, there are 4 parts to what you'll be required to do. There are small assignments that are skill building. There are the case studies, which count for 30% of your grade. There are the presentations, the individual and the group presentations, which are both written and oral. So they're divided up, weighted a little bit more heavily toward the oral aspect of the presentation. And they have well-defined rubrics that decide how these are evaluated. And then finally, you have the final exam. So while I'm on it, let's talk about those rubrics. All right. These are the most important rubrics. The class rubric is used to evaluate all your writing. So let's talk about that a little bit. It's broken down in several parts: content and the case, literacy and grammar, audience, strategy, and style. You'll notice literacy has an asterisk next to it. This has to be satisfactory or better, or it's all satisfactory or less. In other words, the literacy is the most important part. If you can't do the grammar, spelling, and punctuation well, then it's all bad, according to our rubric. So here's where you want to be. You should proofread well enough to eliminate most grammatical errors. You may have minor problems with punctuation or usage. Here's where you don't want to be. You write generally correct prose, but you fail to catch minor grammatical errors, or make disruptive grammatical syntactical errors such as run-on fragments unintelligible in sentences. You don't want that. So the idea is that you should always edit your work very well prior to submission. The content case, that's more about understanding what it is you're asked to do, overall understanding of the concept of the problem, and conveying that in a well-written statement. The audience, are you telling them what they need to know? Are you aware of the reader's needs? Are you respectful and deferential in tone? The strategy, does it make sense? Is it feasible? Are you grounded in reality? Have you solved the problem? And the style, your writing style and document design, very important. Okay. And finally, the speaks rubric. We'll talk more about that later, but basically, I don't know. Let's talk about it now. A couple of things: personal appearance, eye contact, articulation, kinetics. These are essential things that you're going to have to pay attention to, especially when you're on camera. Your personal appearance should be business casual or better. Your eye contact, you should be looking at the camera. Articulation, you should have a clear voice that's distinct, has a proper cadence, is audible. And kinetics, you should not be fidgeting or looking like being in front of the camera is the last place you want to be, or stiff. The other part is the structure. Does it make sense? Is it logical, flow? And how good are your PowerPoint slides or video, whatever. These are the kind of things. That's a quick breakdown. If you want to know how to, before all that, you should really open this one up before you get to the presentations and look through those very, very carefully, okay? It has great videos, shows you how to do all these things, what's expected of you. If you do that and you do a pretty decent job, you're going to do really well. We're not expecting perfection, but if you are shooting toward the goals that we set for you, then you should do pretty okay. All right? Again, I provide good examples of reports, a good example of a startup proposal, and a good example of a PowerPoint for that you can use for both the group or the individual project. So it's essentially there, okay? Okay, so let me go through here real quick. I think that should about do it. Yeah, that should about do it. So again, like I said, it's a lot of information. Go through this twice because you'll catch something the next time. Much easier for you to understand, and it'll make more sense as we go along, okay? So once again, welcome to the class, everybody. I'm really looking forward to meeting and getting to know all of you. So I'll talk to you soon.